Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ulrike and I am a K-beauty and skincare content creator and just general skincare enthusiast. And today we are talking about, I still do the we thing. I don't know why I always slip into the royal we. I will be talking to you about a very, very famous, almost I want to say cult product from Korea. I would say it's probably Korea's #1 moisturizer, unbeaten in popularity, and I want you to learn more about it. And it is, of course, this one. Now, Dr. G, I would say probably one of the most popular brands, certainly derma brands in Korea, consistently popular as well. For years and years now, the moisturizer that I want to talk about today has always just won all the top spots, both when it comes to what sells the best, but also in terms of quality and popularity on apps, beauty apps like Hwae or the Powder Room Forum. And it's just universally popular. Now, Dr. G is also an indie brand, so it basically is one of those brands that don't belong to any of the larger conglomerates like Amore Pacific or LG brands. And that's why I always like to quote it as one example of many, though, that debunk that weird persistent myth that's been cropping up that independent brands, skincare brands in Korea, can only be successful if they at first make it in the Western market. Dr. G does not care about the Western market. I'm pretty sure about that. How do I know that Dr. G does not really need to care much about us here in the West buying their products? Number one, from what I know, they don't really have a global social media, Instagram presence. Their social media account is still completely in Korean. Number two, I don't know of a single shop, certainly here in the EU, that has an official distribution right to Dr. G. I don't think you can even get the Dr. G products here in Europe. Might be different in North America, I'm not sure. And thirdly, most importantly, from what I know and have seen, none of the big English-speaking influencers really pushes Dr. G products. And to me, that's always really surprising. I know the reasons behind it. I'm pretty sure I know the reasons behind it. But given that Dr. G really is one of the most popular brands, certainly as popular as, say, Round Lab or Isntree, certainly more popular within Korea than a brand like Beauty of Chosun or Purito. No one in Korea really knows that Purito exists. The only reason they know is because of the sunscreen scandal. But I don't even think Purito sells in Korea, from what I know. The reason I think that so many Western influencers pretty much ignore Dr. G products, despite them being really the epitome of what I consider to be the best of the best about K-beauty, I think is because Dr. G is not interested in working with Western influencers. I've never seen any large name Western skincare influencer unbox Dr. G PR or get any sort of free samples. They don't do sponsored collaborations. They don't have to because they already are so successful in Korea and probably in the rest of Asia as well. And for Korean brands, the Asian market is certainly China. It's always far more interesting than little old Europe or tiny teeny North America. And I think this is something that the Western audience sometimes doesn't quite understand. And also I think one of the reasons that what K-beauty brands are being promoted in the West is a little bit skewed and a little bit, it sometimes gives a wrong picture of what Koreans actually use. Now, if you want to learn more about the brand Dr. G, its brand history, the products that they sell, especially the product range that I'm talking about today, in a more in-depth video, I highly recommend watching Odile Monod's video on Dr. G. She also did a fantastic video on their sunscreen range because their sunscreens are also super popular. I haven't tried any of them yet, so check out Odile to learn more, because most of the stuff that I learned about Dr. G, I've learned from her. So I'm most definitely just want to give her a shout out, because a lot of creators use her extensive research and pretend it's their own, and I don't want to do that. So for brand history, etc., and a lot of background info on Koreans' love of all things Dr. G, Odile Monod's video is the way to go. For me today, I mostly want to talk about one product, or two products to be precise, and it is, as I said, pretty much the most popular product from Dr. G, I would say, besides the sunscreens. And it is this one, the Dr. G R.E.D Blemish Clear Soothing Cream. As per usual, I'm not sure. I think it is autofocusing. Sometimes it does it and sometimes it doesn't. I still haven't figured out how that works. So this cream, its popularity actually started not with influencers, not with female users. It actually started with young men and using it, or a version of it. Again, watch Odile's video, she explains it much better than me. A more minimalist version of this cream during their military service. Basically, you may know this or not know this, but in South Korea, every young man at a certain age has to do their compulsory military service. Germany used to have that system as well, but we've since abolished it, and now we have a career military, I believe. But yeah, we used to have this as well. In Korea, I would say that this military service, I don't know how long it is, 1 or 2 years, I believe. In Germany, I think it used to be 2 years. This period of doing a military service is really like the stepping into your manhood, I guess. You kind of change through doing that. You kind of become you go from being a boy to a man. I think this is kind of the connotation. Now, given that most of the military service is done in pretty harsh conditions, that's kind of the point of it, that you learn to be a tough soldier. Of course, you get quite a lot of skin issues. Korean men take care of their skin. It's a little bit different than here in the West. And they have certain shops on their base that don't just sell, foods and snacks and whatever else. They also sell certain skincare items. And this cream, the Clear Soothing Cream, was basically the moisturizer that most of the guys grabbed to help soothe their super inflamed, super sensitized skin. After, all those long hours in the sun, this is what saved their skin. I don't think there's a better advertisement than knowing this. Now, apart from that particular almost mythical story behind the popularity, this cream also just in general became super popular. Again, the one that they sell in the military bases apparently has a bit of a different ingredient setup, and also it's, I believe, not really available outside of those bases. This version, however, still is just such a beautiful formula. Now, when it comes to what skin type best suits this super famous mythical cream, I would say it's certainly younger skin, more oily skin to combo skin best works with this cream, simply because it is a very lightweight formula. I'll most definitely show you a texture shot so that you can see what I mean. It is more of a gel. I'm not sure why they call it cream, because it is very classically a gel texture and a more runny, more watery type of gel texture. However, having said that, I do think it still has quite a bit of nourishing qualities. I never feel that it is too watery when I use it. So combo skin certainly still will do very, very well with it. And if you're younger and don't need that much, I would say up to your 30s, It could also work for dry skin that is just a little bit dry, certainly in summer, because it has just a really wonderful cooling and refreshing texture. Now, as for the ingredients, I think this is really why this is such a popular moisturizer and such a good moisturizer, especially if you have trouble with acne, with inflammation, with sensitization of the skin, and just when your skin has a freak out and is red and angry. Because the main ingredient here is a Centella asiatica complex. So it doesn't just contain Centella asiatica extract, which is, of course, anti-inflammatory, soothing, slightly antibacterial. It can boost wound healing. It can help, for instance, acne areas to heal off faster. And it's also highly antioxidant, so it's good for anti-aging. This also contains all sorts of compounds of the Centella asiatica plant, madecassoside, asiaticoside, asiatic acid. I wrote them all down. There's more. And asiaticoside, madecassid acid. I think I've got them all now. And apart from that, it also is really hydrating. So it contains glycerin, beta-glucan, which is a fantastic humectant, so water-grabbing, hydrating ingredient, plus sugar molecules that are, or a complex of sugar molecules that are also water-grabbing or humectant. And then it also contains a couple of brightening ingredients. It contains niacinamide and licorice root extract, to me still one of my favorite, most underrated Korean beauty ingredients. For me, almost better than niacinamide at brightening the complexion. So I'm super in love with when I find that on the ingredient list. As for soothing ingredients, apart from the Centella asiatica, the cream also contains allantoin and panthenol, so two really strong, calming, sensitive skin friendly ingredients. This also is fragrance and alcohol free, so it works very well for sensitive skin. For me personally, the reason why I like it so much is because it is just so soothing. I can really feel the anti-inflammatory properties, and I can tell, as someone who's used a lot of Centella asiatica products, there is a difference in quality when it comes to the raw materials used. With Dr. G, you can really tell that this is a high quality Centella complex that really does provide soothing, redness, calming properties, because sometimes when I use Centella products from lesser brands, shall we say, you can tell that the quality is watered down and it doesn't really do that much. Here I can just really tell when I use this, especially if I use it overnight, if my skin has been overheated, especially from too much exfoliation, or because my retinol products have just used them a little bit too much, or a little bit too much of it in one go. This cream or gel really does such a fantastic job just calming everything down. As I said, this has a slightly cooling quality to it, so it works especially well, I would say, in summer. For winter, unless you are really more on the oily side, certainly not enough for a nighttime moisturizer. Although I would say the exception is if you have a real skin freak out, if your skin just can't tolerate anything, I would say no matter what your skin type is, try this cream, because I feel it's one of those SOS products that just really save your skin and just kind of calm everything down, cool everything down, and sort of just restore your skin barrier's ability to self-repair and heal. It's wonderful as that type of SOS product. Again, irregardless of skin type, I would say, because even with dry skin, when you just have an intense freak out, I personally think that a lighter formula can sometimes work wonders versus just putting on more butters and oils and all of that stuff that can just be a little bit, almost a little bit overwhelming when your skin is really in crisis mode. Since this is a classic gel consistency, overall it is not enough for dry skin. It is very hydrating, and it's a beautiful hydrating gel. This is something that I would have just loved to have in my 20s. In my 20s, K-beauty in the West was basically non-existent. We didn't really know about K-beauty, and this was when the internet was still in its infant shoes. So I didn't have many great quality creams, gel creams available. I always used the Clinique Moisture Surge. That was kind of my go-to in my 20s when I could afford it. This one, with my acne prone, oily to combo skin in my 20s, this one I would have just, I would have loved it. So if that's your skin type, this is you should try this. But for dry skin, again, unless you want sort of an SOS freak out, just want to cool everything down and keep it nice and simple sort of product, this may not be the right one for you. However, if you're interested in trying a comparable moisturizer targeted at dry skin, then maybe this one will do it, because this is the brand new, well, not as brand new, it came out at the end of 2022, but this one is from the same R.E.D Blemish skincare range from Dr. G, but it is the Clear Moisture Cream, and this one, unlike this gel texture, is a more creamy, it's sort of a creamier, richer version of this one, targeted predominantly at drier skin types. So the Clear Moisture Cream, basically the moment it came out, it surged up the sales charts at Olive Young. This was an instant success, which is why I instantly ordered it. Also because I always wanted to try the OG Clear Soothing Cream, and I always had this idea of doing a comparison video or maybe blog post. And I can absolutely see why this one is as popular as it is. So this has the same base key ingredients, which is that Centella Asiatica complex with all of the compound extracts plus Centella Asiatica extract, Centella Asiatica leaf extract, all of the Centella and Cica you could wish for. So it's quite similar in that regards, because that's the reason why people love the cream so much, because of the high quality Centella and Cica content. But it is most definitely a richer texture and a richer formula. It contains just as many humectants. I think the main one is glycerin, plus this one also contains hyaluronic acid. The other one I believe does not, from what I could see at first glance looking at the ingredient list. So the gel cream might also be a good moisturizer if you don't do well with hyaluronic acid. Now this one does contain sodium hyaluronate. I never know how to say that. In neither of the two languages that I speak. It's always a tongue twister in all languages. And then this also has a couple of richer moisturizing ingredients. So not just hydrating, but also deeply moisturizing. So this contains rapeseed oil, macadamia seed oil, which is quite rich. And for some people with oilier skin and acne-prone skin, macadamia seed oil can be potentially a trigger for breakouts. So double check if you tend to break out. And also ceramides, which are just great overall for skin barrier health. And they are really one of those key ingredients that keep your skin nice and supple. And it also contains allantoin and panthenol, just like the OG cream. When it comes to the texture, I'll again show you a texture shot so that you can see. Maybe I'll do like a little comparison shot. I'll see how I juggle that. I always film that after this video, after the main video. It is not as rich as I thought it would be, to be honest. I thought it would almost be sort of like the Real Barrier barrier cream. That sort of thickness is what I expected. So when I opened this jar and tried it out for the first time and kind of looked at the jar, I was actually surprised how light it is. It still has more of a gel texture. I would say it's kind of a gel lotion hybrid. So at first glance, I thought, actually, maybe I'm not sure I understand why this is for dry skin. However, once I started using it, and I kind of use it mostly at nighttime, I could see how this could work so well for dry skin, especially if you, despite having dry skin, don't want heavy textures, because it is still really moisturizing. And what I really like about it is that it just kind of, it gives this velvety feel to the skin, especially when I use it overnight. This is one of those moisturizers where I wake up the next day and can really tell the effect that it had on my skin. There's a velvetiness to the skin and a sort of smoothness and just a feeling of my skin being very healthy and relaxed. I can tell that this is a cream that really helps if you have moisture barrier and skin barrier issues. And again, without sort of overloading the skin. I think if you have very dry skin, potentially, to be honest, this might not be enough. I would always go for one of the thicker moisturizers from Korea that I did a video on, especially, again, the Real Barrier Cream is just amazing if you have really like dry, cracked skin, if you tend to get super flaky. I kind of feel, without having dry skin myself, so this is kind of speculation without having tried it, because my skin does not get that dry. But I think just based on the texture alone and what I see it doing for my skin, for my mature combo skin, I think for dry skin, this will not be enough. Or rather for very dry skin. Now I have to be very careful and precise about what I say. For very dry skin. If you have dry skin to normal skin, so you get tightness, you do feel, especially in winter, that your skin is very thirsty for moisture, I think this could actually be quite fantastic. Also for younger skin that is on the dry side, I think this is a wonderful moisturizer because it's just so smooth and light. It sinks into skin really fast as well, so it's also a great one for a morning moisturizer if you're dry. Works wonderful. Both of these, the OG one as well, the gel cream, both of these work really well under makeup because they just kind of sink into skin. Your skin kind of just drinks it up super fast, and it doesn't leave any residue. It's very light. And also both of these creams are just wonderful, again, for redness prone skin. I feel now that hay fever season has started, these two, I will reach for those quite a lot. The way I use them usually is that I use the gel cream more for my morning routine, and I grab the Clear Moisture cream, the thicker cream, more towards the evening because I need a little bit more body. If you have mature skin, I would say probably try the Clear Moisture cream first. Unless you are still very much on the oily combo side, then the gel cream can work as well. But it is certainly, it tends to be too light for skin, certainly skin sort of 40 plus. I can still use it, but then again, it's because my skin sometimes still acts like teenage skin. For instance, right now, you can't see it, but I have a massive, and I mean massive, pimple here that just reminds me of my youth. That's the sort of intense sort of breakouts I would get at 17. So I don't know what's going on there. But for those types of skin types, even if you're 40 plus, you can also try the Clear Moisture. I'm going to just call it gel because otherwise I get confused by the two names because they're so similar. The OG. The OG. Again, I will make sure to show you a couple of texture shots throughout this video, hopefully. This is more a note to myself while I edit, in case I forget, so that you can see the difference. Both of them are just so amazing. And the textures alone are just so well done. There's something very refined, I find, about Dr. G. The products are always very simple and they seem deceptively simple, but then once you use them, especially over a longer period of time, you really notice the quality of the formula. Absolutely beautiful. Again, I would say the only caveat is that the dry skin version, I think if you're very dry skinned, I actually think it might not be enough. So that's the only thing that at least surprised me a little bit about the newer cream, but otherwise both formulas to me beautiful, and choosing the right one just depends on what's more important to you. Is it more that you prefer lightweight gel textures, that you want a bit of cooling, especially now that we're sort of going towards hot, warmer weather, hopefully? Or do you need more richness and sort of velvety smoothness versus more sort of plump, I would say, and hydrated? Then go for the richer dry skin cream version. Both are fantastic. I can fully understand why these are bestsellers in Korea. And yeah, I think more Western influencers should talk about Dr. G. But again, I'm pretty sure they don't do it because Dr. G does not care about us here in the West. They don't need us. And that was it, my little review video and explanation video when it comes to, certainly I would say, one of the top 3 moisturizers in Korea, the famous Dr. G R.E.D Blemish cream or gel cream, and its newer sibling for dry skin. And maybe I could help you a little bit with you wondering if this is the right moisturizer for you. If you found this video helpful, it would be great if you could give it a thumbs up, because that always helps us creators a lot, especially smaller creators who struggle to be seen on this platform. And maybe you even could consider subscribing. That is always the biggest help because it helps our growth tremendously. So thank you for that. And yeah, if you have any questions, ideas for videos, if you want me to review other Dr. G stuff, I'm currently trying out their Royal Snail line, which is another favorite super popular product from the brand. Let me know in the comments, and let me know if you've tried these moisturizers yet. And as always, I see you again next week with a new video. And until then, please take care. Bye!